Hi, welcome to your practical number 4, where you will be doing titration again. But this time around the titration is a little bit different. It's called an iodine. It's something that deals with starch indicator. So it's no longer a straightforward add in everything at one shot. No, so pay attention to this. So the usual thing applies. So you should wash your conical flask, filter funnel, and the test tube with tap water followed by distilled water. So this has been washed already. Then you should wash your pipette with whatever you're gonna add it with later. So in this case, question says that you're gonna add P in your pipette. P is this very intensely purple thing. Okay, I'm gonna wash. Very good. So recap, when you wash something, you do not need to add all the way up. So hold the top of the pipette, press A and release the air out, and gently twist it in. How do you know when to stop? As long as it's tight, good enough. So now you will press S to siphon out some of the chemicals. So maybe to about here will be good enough. What do you do next? Horizontal. Then you can remove the filter funnel. Let the chemical flow to about here. So it's about here now. Then you can rotate. Then you can let it go out this way. So that's how you wash your pipette. Okay, so now this is a burette. You're gonna fill this with Q. Same thing. Put it here. Filter funnel, and in Q, you're washing it. So washing do not require that much. Maybe somewhere about here, if I added a bit too much, which is okay. So you remove it. Make sure it's 90 degrees. Put your thumb here. Let the liquid flow. So once the liquid touches your thumb, you can rotate it and place it back. This is the beaker which you will put your waste chemicals. And just turn on the tap and let the chemical flow down. In the meanwhile, you can prepare your conical flask ready. So the line to stop is here. So usually I will siphon liquid above the line and slowly adjust. So usually you read at the bottom of the meniscus, but for K-4 or something that's very intensely colored, whatever the point you look at, that is where you stop. So the line is here, I siphon it above it. I remove, then I adjust. Make sure it's eye level. Fantastic. So when you're done, you can move it over here. Remove the suction, and it will go down. But make sure that this is stable before you let go. And that's it. While it flows, take the time to fill up your burette. Don't waste time. In exam, time is of the essence. So reminder, do you have to fill it up all the way to 0.00? No. You can fill up. My recommendation is just fill up to a whole number, that will be good enough. So if you accidentally spill some chemical here, make sure that this is dry. And so now look at this. Liquid, liquid, gap. So this is what we know as an air bubble. So before you start titrating, make sure the air bubble is not there. How do you make sure that this is gone? Just turn on the tap fully and you can see that it's done. So now you adjust such that it starts with a whole number. And okay, so you may see that there's some liquid here. So the dry area, just dab a few times, work gently. That's good enough. Do you need an indicator in this case? You don't need. So before you start actually titrating, read the instruction. It says you pipette P inside the conical flask, which is this. And it says add a test tube full of dilute sulfuric acid. So that's the thing that's different here. So sulfuric acid, add a test tube full. Remove together with the lid. Notice how I add. I don't make sure that I test tube go all the way in, just at the top, because I want to prevent contamination. So one test tube full of sulfuric acid, add in. Next one, you can add in potassium iodide. Do you need to wash this? It doesn't really matter because the acid is here anyway. Potassium iodide, you add it in. And you realize that it says what? It should turn reddish brown. It does indeed turn some form of the brown and a little bit of yellowish tone. So this is when you can start. So read the instruction. You do not titrate all the way to the end. It says what? Titrate until this color becomes a pale yellow. After which, pale yellow, not yellow, pale yellow. Pale yellow is very much similar to colorless. It's very faint. When it's pale yellow, you add a few drops of starch indicator. Then it will become blue, deep blue. Then you add again until it becomes colorless. So the reasoning why we don't directly add this all the way from red brown to pale yellow to colorless is because the difference between colorless and pale yellow is not much. Is it possible for you to overshot the end point? Yes, but you think of it this way: reddish brown becomes pale yellow. You add your starch, it becomes a deep blue. Deep blue to colorless. The change in color is the change in gradient of the color is very sharp. So it actually helps us to figure out how much exactly to add. So that's the point of what you're doing. This here, but the thing is here, so it doesn't tally. So use some common sense, adjust it. You are comfortable height. This is comfortable for me. So you add and you swirl. You cannot spend. So you notice there are some of the chemicals stuck here. Feel free to take some distilled water and wash it down. It doesn't change the mole of the substance. Maybe you dilute a little bit, but it's okay, the mole is the same. The question here that you will have in your mind is pale pink. What is pale pink? Sorry, pale yellow. What's pale yellow? This is yellow. Some may even call it orangey yellow. So you can continue. It's clearly yellow, but it's not pale yellow. So once it's yellow, right, you can continue to add. Just be careful not to keep spamming. This is pale yellow. It's not colorless yet, but it's visibly more dilute. So this is when you add in a few drops of starch indicator. So you don't need to count lah. A few drops will do. 2, 3, maybe 4 drops, or maybe even 5 drops. Shake it. It becomes deep blue or even a little bit purplish. So now when you continue, right, you don't even add a lot of drops. A few drops can change. It's already very much towards the end. So now you already go drop wise, such that the one last drop will cause it to become colorless permanently. One drop. It took me only 3 drops. So if you're following the steps properly, it will only take a few drops before it's end. So now it's colorless. And that's how you complete the titration. So it's different from the conventional one, but it's not entirely impossible as long as you read the instructions and you follow. And that's about it. Goodbye.